Welcome to the data overview for E.T. Booth Middle School, specifically the ELA department. This presentation is being recorded on November 22nd, 2021 by your presenter, Dafina Pareva, an ELA teacher at E.T. Booth Middle School. The purpose of the presentation is to debrief the student and school demographics over the course of 3 years, beginning at 2016 and ending at the 2019 school year. We will review student achievement data on the English Language Arts Georgia Milestones End of Grade or EOG assessment between the years of 2016 and 2019 as compared to the district. We will analyze data to determine areas of improvement, and we will identify instructional strategies and weaknesses in the ELA department at E.T. Booth Middle School. Questions to consider: how do strengths in instruction aid students improving successful in ELA? How do weaknesses in instruction play a role in student misconceptions? Does the data indicate a specific subgroup in the beginning learners category and/or the proficient distinguished learners category? And how can ELA teachers use 3 years worth of data to identify positive and negative trends? This is a graph on E.T. Booth's student demographics in terms of enrollment. So as you can see, in the 2016-2017 school year, the number of students enrolled is at 1,856. This is collective between grades 6 through 8. In the 2017-2018 school year, it increases to 1,892, and then in the 2018-2019 school year, it increases some more to 1,921 students. So as you can see, the number of students enrolled at E.T. Booth Middle School shows an upward trend with more and more students enrolling. This is a graph on the percentage of enrollment by race and ethnicity. So in the 2016-2017 school year, as you can see with the white population, we are at 66%. In the 2017-2018 school year, it decreases to 63%. And then in the 2018-2019 school year, it decreases more to 61%. Whereas with the Hispanic and African American subgroups, they begin at a smaller rate in the 2016-2017 school year and then slowly increase by the 2018-2019 school year. Multiracial and Asian subgroups, they seem to stay pretty consistent throughout the years. So with the multiracial subgroup in the 2016-17 school year, it begins at 4%. It maintains that in the 2017-2018 school year, and then increases by 1% in the 2018-2019 school year, whereas the Asian population stays consistent at a 2% rate all 3 years. This is a graph on the percentage of enrollment by other subgroups, specifically limited English proficient and free reduced meals. So as you can see, in the 2016-17 school year, the limited English proficient students are at a 4% rate, and then they increase a little each year. So in the 2017-18 school year, they increased to 8%, and then 2018-2019 school year, they increased to 11%. Likewise, with the free reduced meals, which gives us an indication of the socioeconomic status of the students in the school, it begins at 30% in the 2016-2017 school year and then increases 32%, where it maintains for both school years 2017-18 and 2018-19. These are graphs for the teacher demographics based off of race and ethnicity. So you will see that the majority of the teachers, both years, are white. Um, just based off of these two graphs, you can see that the African American teacher demographics decreases a little bit in the 2017-2018 school year. And then it's important to note that the specifically looking at the graph on the right and this graph here, that the Hispanic teacher demographics increases, which, given the enrollment status of the students, is a very good thing for E.T. Booth Middle School. Okay, so teacher demographics broken down by gender. It appears that the school has more female teachers than it does male teachers. You can see that the female teachers increase gradually throughout the course of the year, the 3 years, and then the male teachers decrease. So it's quite opposite for these two genders. Years of experience. So the total number of teachers at Booth are 108. You can see that more than half of the school has a master's degree or higher education. So 50 of the teachers have a 5-year master's degree. 22 of those 50 have a specialist, and then 2 of those 22 have a doctorate's degree. Okay, so these are graphs showing data for the ELA Georgia milestones. This is at the district level. You can see that, first of all, there are 4 categories in terms of placement on the test. So the blue indicating beginning learners, red symbolizes developing learners, the green symbolizes proficient learners, and then purple symbolizes distinguished learners. So you can see here that the majority of the students fall in that green category, which is proficient learners. Of all the four categories, it appears that distinguished learners consistently stays the smaller percentage of the 4. This is a graph showing E.T. Booth's 6th grade Georgia milestone data. So you can see that there is a slight dip downwards in the proficient, specifically looking at the proficient learners category. It goes from 46% in the 2016-2017 school year down to 41% in the 2017-2018 school year. It does pick back up in the 2018-19 school year to 45%. And then it's kind of the same trend with the distinguished learners. It begins at a little bit higher than where it is at the 2017-18 school year and then picks up in the 2018-19 school year. This right here is a graph on the 2018-19 Georgia milestone data by gender for the 6th grade. So you can see here that specifically focusing in on the E.T. Booth Middle School female and male categories, which are the top 2 bars, it looks like there were more females who scored in the proficient learners category than there were males. And then same thing for the distinguished learners. So females coming in at 18.8% and males coming in at 10.7%. The developing learners seem to compare very closely at 23.7% and then 23.5%. Females seem to have fewer beginning learners than do males at E.T. Booth specifically. In comparison at the district level, it seems that, again, females seem to score better on this assessment than do the males for both proficient and distinguished. The developing learners, it seems that there are fewer females who score in this category than there are males, which is slightly different from specifically E.T. Booth Middle School, where they compare very closely. This graph is a graph showing the 2018-19 district milestone data for sixth graders based off of different subgroups. So the main things I want to point out here are that it appears that Hispanic and African American students have more beginning learners than do white, multiracial, and Asian subgroups. Additionally, if you're focusing in on the proficient learners, which is the green bar, it seems that the white and multiracial and Asian subgroups consistently score 40% or higher on this particular test. And then at E.T. Booth Middle School, it seems very similar to the district graph that we just saw, with Hispanic and African American subgroups scoring higher in the beginning learners category, and then with white, multiracial, and Asian subgroups, again, scoring 40% or higher on the proficient learners category. So some strengths that we can extract from this data: E.T. Booth Middle School students are consistently scoring higher than the district rates on the 2018-19 ELA Georgia milestone. E.T. Booth Middle School boys and girls scored at a higher percentage of proficient learners than did district boys and girls. More than half the teachers teaching at E.T. Booth Middle School have a degree consisting of a master's or above, and the percentage of proficient learners at E.T. Booth Middle School is consistently higher than the county level. Some weaknesses include the percentage of students of a low socioeconomic status enrolling at E.T. Booth Middle School seems to be consistently growing over the years. Between the 2016-17 and 2017-18 school years, distinguished learners show a decreased trend, and then between the 2017-18 and 2018-19 school years, developing learners also decrease. Underrepresented subgroups, such as Hispanics specifically, have a significantly higher percentage of beginning learners. So further action, we should revisit the opening questions about the strengths and weaknesses regarding standardized testing within our school. We should analyze why certain underrepresented groups are consistently scoring lower on standardized tests. We should brainstorm ways E.T. Booth Middle School can support underrepresented groups. And we should create an action plan to increase the percentage of proficient learners within the underrepresented populations at E.T. Booth Middle School.